Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Daniel Gormali, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to set you an impossible quiz. So it's a very tough quiz. It's meant to be really tough. So basically I wrote this book called Chess Analysis Reloaded. Anyone who's read that book may have seen this quiz. So obviously if you already read the book, the following quiz will not be that interesting to you probably, but essentially I did a book about chess analysis, how I tried to kind of reignite my love of chess analysis, and that was for Informant Chess Publishing. Informant Publishing, that's the Informant magazine really is famous for producing, which is so in the days before ChessBase, grandmasters would go to tournaments with suitcase full of Informant books so they could keep up the latest advances in chess theory. Anyway, I'm not going to babble too much, so I'm going to go back to the quiz. So the point of this impossible quiz is I kind of like positions where they're really tough, because we all get like tactical puzzles where it's white to play and win, and or there's some kind of calculation puzzle. But I think this quiz is extremely tough. So I wrote in the notes that the players who agreed to take part in my quiz were Keith Farkle, Grandmaster, Richard Pert, IM, there's also a guy from India who was kind enough to take part called Vedant Panisar, Jack Rudd, Jonathan Blackburn, Tristan Cox, Zoe Varney, Nicholas Sketos, Cameron Davis, and Anarai Sainbaya. So quite a few of those people I paid as well. So I ended up paying £600 out of my own money, because I thought, well, at the end of the day, they're chess players, they're good chess players, they deserve to get paid. So I paid them out of my own money to take the quiz. And I gave them a lot of time on each quiz. So the first quiz, this is white plays queen e3. So what you're really looking for is the best move. What is the best move for black? What is the best response? Obviously, if you want to do the quiz and you want to do it honestly, do it without a computer. Obviously, do it without a computer. Try and do your own analysis. By all means, check your answer later with the computer if you want, but the point of the quiz is that most of the people who took part, they spent quite a lot of time on each puzzle. Some people did it quite quickly. People like Jack Rudd and Parnasar did it fairly quickly, but a lot of people took a long time over some of these puzzles because they are extremely tough. That's why I called it the impossible quiz. So this one, pause your video, have a think about this one, because we'll be moving on fairly shortly. And it's black to play. What is the best move? What is the best response to white's last move, which was queen e3? And obviously, take your time, think about it, and think of the, if you want to do it honestly, that's the best way to do it. If you put your answers down below and you've been cheating with an engine, I won't be able to tell. You do find out a lot actually online. People put up puzzles. It's amazing how many people get the right answer, considering I would imagine the average rating of people who are responding probably isn't that high, but everybody seems to get it right on Twitter and so on. I don't mind anyway. The comments are fine. I probably shouldn't be triggered by comments. Anyway, so this is black to play, this position. The next position, so hopefully you paused that, you've had a think about that position, and I would recommend spending at least 5 to 10 minutes on each puzzle. Think like you were playing in a game. It's a tough position in a game. What is the best move? You're faced with a tough situation. Can you find, essentially it's basically the top engine move. So the next position is, so this one is white to play. And it's white to play. What is the best move for white according to the engine? Another very tough puzzle. Some of you may get this right, some of you may not. I appreciate people, if they want to take the time to do this, that'd be great. So this is white to play. What I'll do is I'll do a separate video later where I'll explain what the answers were or are. So this is a position taken from Ding Liren, Ian Nepomniachtchi. I did make a video recently where I mentioned I think Ding is being massively underestimated in this upcoming match with Gukesh. I don't agree with the experts who say that Gukesh is a huge favourite. I honestly am very confident that Ding will win that match, but we'll see. Anyway, this was an interesting game, and actually I think Ding lost it. Actually, I think this was like the second game of the match. Ding was white, and he came up with an H3, sort of like try and get Nepomniachtchi out of fear. It didn't work. I believe that was the second game. I think Nepomniachtchi was white in the first game. Anyway, so again, you may have paused out, have a think for like 5 or 10 minutes about what the best move for white is. Have a think, because it's a tough one. It's white to play. A lot of people that I did the quiz with, they took a long time over this one. So then we move on to number 4. I think there's 7 puzzles in total. Or 6 actually in total. So black plays the move b6. So now you're white in this game. What is the best response to the move b6? What's the best way for white to play? I mean, I really am fascinated by difficult positions, and I mean, of course, we can fall too much in love with the engine evaluation and so on, but I do think with chess, one of the things is you need to stretch yourself and really make it tough for yourself. The more you can do that, the better. So again, this is white to play. What is the best move? What move should white play in this position? You may want to pause this and spend at least 5 to 10 minutes, if not longer, trying to come up with what you think is the best response. Bear in mind the no trick positions is basically just find the best move. But like how they say on Eggheads, they say there's no trick questions. Does anyone ever watch Eggheads? I think there's even a dedicated channel to Eggheads on the LG channel. Seems to be on Eggheads, seems to be on a lot. Tremendous Knowledge Dave. I've got a slight connection with Tremendous Knowledge Dave because one of my Blackthorn teammates, a guy called Johnny Nelson, and he used to be very good friends with Tremendous Knowledge Dave, and but sadly Tremendous Knowledge Dave passed away a few years ago. He had some mobility issues, they said. I'm not sure what the cause of death was exactly. Tremendous Knowledge Dave was Dave from Eggheads, and he was well known on the Manchester sort of quiz circuit. Okay, so next position is taken from the same game. Black takes on e5, and again, no trick questions. What is the engine? What do you think the engine would say is the top move in this position? So you're really looking for the engine's top move. Because obviously I can't be bothered to do my own analysis. If I did my own analysis and said this is the best move, you might disagree with me, and you might well be correct in disagreeing with me. However, if the engine says it's the best move, then it's probably going to be right. This is why you've got to be very careful as an author these days. You've got to basically make sure that you check all your analysis with the engine. Actually, Jordan Van Forest was talking about this when he was doing analysis for Magnus Carlsen, that you had to be very thorough, because obviously if you say to Magnus, play this variation, and Magnus sort of decides, white to play here by the way folks, white to play, and Magnus decides, well, plays that variation, but there's a hole in it and they lose, then obviously that hasn't been thorough enough in checking it with the engine. I mean, back in the day, that used to happen a lot. You'd play a line, maybe even the World Championship level, but there would be a mistake in it because obviously they didn't check. They weren't able to check with engines, and so there could be mistakes in the analysis. Talking about Magnus and the World Championships, yeah, sorry, I got distracted from my train of thought. So I got this nail that needs clipping with it. I should cut my nails. Biting my nails. Disgusting habit I have. Yeah, I was thinking that earlier. That Magnus, at the end of the day, what is the incentive for him to carry on to be world champion? Because so much of preparing for the World Championship match is to do with opening theory preparation. But you would also imagine that he still plays in classical tournaments, not as much as he did, but he still plays in them. You'd imagine that is also very much theoretically based. So he needs, or even playing, rapid play, you need to know a lot of theory. He needs to keep up to date with the theory. But I think the problem is, what is the motivation for Magnus? He's already won the World Championship on several occasions. He's already a fairly wealthy individual. What is the motivation other than another tick off? He wins the World Championships. He still has the same life as before. He doesn't do anything differently. He has the same apartment or the same house or whatever. Probably goes to the same restaurants. Probably socialises with the same people. So where is the motivation? There's no huge, other than a tiny financial incentive in the sense that he's going to be slightly richer than he was before. There's no great motivation other than being world champion, but he's already world number one. People regard him as the best player in the world, so I can understand why Magnus is reluctant to carry on spending many months preparing for a match against the same person. By the way, there's a couple of quiz questions I could ask you as well, given that we're on a quiz. Firstly, which national champion? So there's if you look at all the national championships of all the countries, let's talk about bigger countries, So something like the Maldives, I don't know, but if you're checking like the bigger countries, which national champion won the most number of their national championships? So it could be any country, could be Belgium, could be Portugal, something like that. Interesting. And the other answer is what? The other question is what? I think I've asked this one before. What have Tigran Petrosian and Boris Spassky got in common? No, not Boris Spassky. Yes, sorry. Well, that's an easy answer. They're both Soviet, former world chess champions. What do Tigran Petrosian and Richard Burton have got in common? So again, pause your thing. So the answer to those two questions are, now hopefully you pause it, had a think about it. The answer to the first one that I found out earlier was Max Juve has won 14 he won the World Championship, but he also won 14 Dutch championships, Netherlands championships, which is a very impressive record. So I believe he must be maybe there's somebody else. Maybe there's somebody else who got more, but that's Penrose in England is the record holder with 10 in this country. I believe Svidler won 7 Russian championships. The answer to the Tigran Petrosian Richard Burton question was they both died in 1984, actually within a few weeks of each other. I believe in summer 1984. I think Tigran Petrosian had stomach cancer. So, yeah, sad, because I remember there was a story about Garry Kasparov chatting to his widow, Rona, Tigran Petrosian's widow, Rona. Was it Rona? Well, no, maybe that was his wife. Anyway, he was chatting to his widow at the World Championships in 1984, 1985. And okay, so let's move on to the next one. So we've done 4 so far. So well done if you've made it this far and not died of boredom. So next one, final one. So 2-part quiz this question. After move bishop e1, so white plays. I should really just start with a position that we're thinking about. But anyway, okay, so this was taken from Yasser Seren's book. He was talking about. So it's a very interesting book. It's My Chess Duels, and he was talking about how he played all these famous world champions, and he played against obviously Boris Spassky, who I think he had a fairly good relationship with, because Boris was quite a laid-back kind of character. He's still around now. Boris Spassky is the oldest living world chess champion, I believe. I played Boris Spassky in the French league. We ended in a draw. Yasser Serouan. Yeah, it's interesting. He talks about his relationships with Kasparov, and obviously that was a bit more up and down. But he's fairly good friends with Gary. I remember he was talking about, there was one game where Kasparov played against Spassky and Kasparov lost. But in the post-mortem afterwards, he was shooting off these amazing variations. And when Serouan and Ljubovich were walking back to the hotel, they were just shaking their head in disbelief. They were like, how the hell does he see this much? This is just like, these really long variations, really complex variations. And of course it's inspiring as well, right? But people can't, most people just can't operate at that level. So anyway, so the two-part question to this is, first you've got to suggest what is the best move for black, and what is the evaluation of this position. Black to play, what's the best move, what's the evaluation? Another tough puzzle. Not many got this right. Then we move on finally to the final puzzle, which is a famous game between Boris Spassky. Black plays a move a6. Again, I should just start with the puzzle, right? And it's white to play. What is the best move? What would you play here as white? So Bobby Fischer, this was, I believe this game was from something like 1970, right? This is from his vintage era, where he was just destroying players. It's kind of sad that he retired really far too young, when he was 1972. There's some fascinating books written about Bobby Fischer that I've read. I've read quite a lot of the books about Bobby Fischer. I went down the library earlier, and that kind of reminded me of some of the stuff I read about Fischer. That you'd go down the library and read about history when he retired from chess. I think he sort of, funny enough, I'm watching a documentary on Netflix currently about a dancing cult. I think he got involved with a cult as well. It's a fascinating figure, but I was fascinated by Bobby Fischer when I was growing up, because he was kind of like this mysterious figure. And then he came back when I was really getting into chess. It was really like the early 1990s, like late 1980s. That's when I really started getting into chess. And I was at Charlton House, and I saw this newspaper clipping of Bobby Fischer had just come back and won the first game in the match in 1992 against Boris Spassky, with a brilliant kind of tactic at the end of the game in a Rye Lopez. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, this is white to me, by the way, folks. This guy is just like a genius. And I just thought he's going to come back and just destroy everyone. He's going to beat Kasparov. He's going to, become the world champion again. But obviously that was naive, thinking about it at the time. Didn't happen. He showed a lot of poor chess as well. Probably because he'd been out for so long. So the genius was definitely there. I think in these kind of players like Bobby Fischer and Magnus and Kasparov, they kind of got that kind of X factor, right? They kind of got that genius. Yes, it's hard work, but there's also kind of, maybe the hard work is unearthing this X factor. There's obviously a lot of hard work. These guys are the best players because they've just worked incredibly hard. But there's a genius factor behind their moves as well. He's playing against Vladimir Tutmakov, who was from the Ukraine. He's still around now and is a famous chess trainer. I believe he was actually still involved in the Olympiad recently. One of the teams might have been Uzbekistan, actually. There's Vladimir Kramnik was involved in them as well. Famous chess trainer, Vladimir Tutmakov. But yeah, Robert James Fisher was born in Brooklyn in 1943. And a friend of mine on social media, who I did a YouTube video with, he did, as his specialist subject on Mastermind, he did Bobby Fischer. Anyway, those are the puzzles. So those are the 6 puzzles. I'll refresh them quickly, go through them quickly one by one. This is the first one, black to move. Second one is white to move. Third one is white to move, best move. What's the best move? White to move again, best move. Black to move, what's the best move? What's the evaluation of the position as well? If you could do the evaluation on that one as well, it's very important to do evaluations. And this one is white to move, what's the best move? So have a think about these puzzles and leave your answers down below. Please don't cheat, because I'll know if you're cheating. Actually, I won't. I'll just give my friend Vladimir Kramnik a call and he'll let you know whether you've been cheated or not. Yeah, I just love these kind of really tough puzzles. And I'm going to do another book on that kind of subject. As I say, I find things like Puzzle Rush a little bit tedious, because it's just like, boom, you get the tactic, you don't. There's nothing, you don't really learn anything specifically about chess. Whereas I felt with these puzzles, I was kind of learning a little bit. And also going through, well, we'll talk a bit more about the answers in the following video, what the answers were and how the people that I got, my assembled jury of people, got on. But again, let me know what you think. Are you somebody who likes puzzles? Do you spend a lot of time on puzzles? Do you buy puzzle books? Do you do tactics puzzles? Do you like strategical puzzles? Killer Chess Training is a famous website now, and they do pretty tough calculation training. It's one way to improve your calculation. But what I would say about these puzzles is they're not just trade. They're really, I would say, from my experience of going through these puzzles with the people that I did it with, it's one clue is to really test all the facets of your game. So it's not just about calculation, also about understanding, feel, intuition, and so on. You know, little tip, don't back off your first gut instinct. So think about that, try and do it honestly, and then let me know how you get on, how you got on with these puzzles, and then I'll tell you how my expert panel got on. Obviously, if you're lying, if you did check the answers, then the only person you're really lying to is yourself. Anyway, those are the puzzles. Please let me know how you got on. I can never end these videos. I'm just babbling on and on and on. I'm not very good at ending videos.